So now I would like to welcome our guest of honors. Today we are privileged to have Mr. Akshat Jain with us, and I am delighted to inform everyone that he's an alumnus. He has rich experience in the field of management consulting and has worked with various digitally led corporations like IBM, KPMG, Accenture, and Genpact. He is currently in the role of director at Ernst& Young. We all are looking forward to this session to gain valuable insights. So without further ado, I request sir to continue with the session. Over to you, sir.
All right, thanks very much. Can you see my slide?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, good. So first of all, thanks very much for inviting me for this session. The topic which you have given is pretty wide: human capital management and idea of leadership. So when I started preparing for it, I thought it's a pretty wide topic. Where should I start and where should I end? And that's where I thought probably it is easy for me, and probably you would be able to appreciate if I try to relate it with what I'm doing, what kind of changes I'm observing in the industry. And that's where I thought of putting the topic as the new leadership equation and forging symbiotic partnerships, right? And as we'll go through, we'll see what it means. But to start with, as Harshit was talking about, that the way we work is changing very rapidly. And there are two primary factors. And if I would have spoken to you till 2019, end of 2019, I would have said there's only one change which is impacting the industry, and that is digital age, or the introduction or intervention of digital solutions, robotic, artificial intelligence. But what has happened since 2020 started, more so since March in India, we have seen significant impact of COVID, because of which the adoption of digital has suddenly increased multifold. So that's why I'm saying these are the two major things which are changing our world. Now, let's go back to about 50 years. And in 1967, the famous management guru, Peter Drucker, he called out computer a moron. Because at that point in time, what he said, if you read on the slide, the computer makes no decisions, it's a total moron. It's the dumbest tool we have ever had. Now, that was in 1967. 30 years onwards, in 1997, there was a chess game between IBM's Deep Blue computer and Garry Kasparov. It was a game of 6 matches, which Garry ended up losing to this intelligent machine. And later on, there was a lot of debate, a lot of discussion that the match was probably fixed. The company did some jugglery behind the scene to fail Garry Kasparov. But that's not the situation. The situation is, in 30 years, system became much more intelligent. And now if we move forward to 2020, which is the digital age, what we are seeing is that the technology is already becoming autonomous. We have seen, we all have seen movies like Iron Man, where you see Iron Man talking to its system, Jarvis. At one point in time, it was really something out of the world. But today, if you see, you have intelligent systems or assistants available in your phone. You have intelligent speakers like Alexa available to you. Ask for anything, it responds back, right? If you look at your cars these days, we are far away from autonomous cars, but still we are at a place where we have intelligent cars. So while driving, I can probably ask my car to show me route to a specific location. I can probably ask my car to turn on AC, to roll down the windows, to open the sunscreens, and different things, right? So from that perspective, if I look at some of these things are really changing the way we used to work. Also look at some of the new interventions of technology. Amazon has already got the approval to start delivering their products with the help of drones. So has happened with UPS and also with Alphabet's Wings, right? And within India, obviously I've gone too far when I'm talking about Amazon because they've got approval in the US. But if I look at in India itself, HDFC as a bank has got a virtual assistant by the name ERA, Intelligent Robotic Assistant. So if you go in the branch, obviously it's not in all the branches at this point in time, but if you go to a branch, you'll find, at least in some of the branches in Delhi, this virtual assistant, which is a moving bot, standing at the welcome desk. You ask your question and the bot will take you to the right representative to get your problem solved. Now, from that perspective, if I see, one job is completely eliminated, right? And similarly, various new technologies are coming which are eliminating the jobs. Let's look at how workforce and leaders should evolve, because whenever we talk about leadership, it can't be in isolation. It has to be in connection between the leader and the workforce they are leading, right? And if we look at the speed of change, so if you see between 1967 to 2020, the changes have happened a little slowly, but in last, I would say 9 months, changes have been significantly fast. Now, if I just look at what you are seeing on the screen right now, there was a time when mining was done with the help of a lot of miners going into the mine and extracting coal. And when they wanted to make the process more and more efficient, what they started doing, they started sending more people with slightly heavy equipment, better lighting, better oxygen, so that miners can work for more hours inside the mine. But if I follow the same thought and try to push in more and more people, would I get more output? No. And that's where technology came into picture. Now, in most of the mines, not everywhere, humans don't really go into mines unless there's something critical. Humans are sitting outside the mines, machines are working in the mine. Now, from that perspective, you don't have to control temperature. You don't need oxygen in there. You probably don't even need light in there, because machine can sense with the help of various sensors, and the person sitting outside can control the machines. So with this paradigm shift, what has happened? The efficiency in the mining industry has gone up multifold. Number of accidents have come down. And as a result, the way mining industry is working is completely transformed. But yes, in addition to this, what has happened, number of people have lost their job. And that is where not just the leaders, today even the workforce has to evolve, as Harshit was talking about. Right? There are so many new things that you have to continuously keep learning. From that perspective, what I feel, the time that we are in is probably on one side one of the best times, but for people like me who are lazy, I feel this is not the best time. So when I started the job, I thought with experience, salary, perks, everything will keep growing. After some time, I'll be earning good amount of money. And after post graduation is done, probably learning is also done. Post that I don't really have to learn much, probably reading newspaper would be enough. But it has changed completely. Now I have seen newcomers coming into industry, as we were looking at that. The experience is not equivalent to number of years that you've spent in the industry. They are far more relevant and earn far more money, right? So obviously, money is not an equivalent of the relevance that you bring to the industry, but to a certain extent, yes. On the other side, today I just can't sit and say I've done engineering, I've done MBA, I'm done. I'm sorted from a learning perspective. I have to continuously keep learning so that I am relevant in the industry. And that's where workforce has to evolve. And if workforce is evolving, then obviously leaders would have to keep evolving, right? Okay. Just few facts before I move further. This is from one of the McKinsey reports. So if you see the speed with which leaders have responded to COVID change is remarkably greater than the digitization which was done across the industry so far. So if you look at the quantum with which the change has happened, or you're in contrast, so if you look at certain things across which this change was measured, increase in remote working or collaboration, the kind of change we are seeing, it was expected to take about 450 days or more than 450 days for this kind of change to happen. But given the situation of COVID, it has actually happened in little over 10 days. Look at the acceleration factor, 43 times faster. So in such situation, if workforce and leaders don't evolve, they are bound to fail. So imagine the speed at which you have to evolve now. If I try to relate it with the kind of experience I am getting, so I'm in consulting industry. My job is to be with client throughout, sit with them, eat with them. Now, from COVID perspective, that thing has ended completely. I am not face to face with my client. My responsibility is to ensure I understand their pain points, their problems, and then devise solutions which helps them. But given the current situation, I can't meet them. And that is where I think technology comes into picture. I need to leverage technology more and more. Now, when I call a client and speak to them on phone, it is okay. I don't know if they're really interested in listening to what I'm saying. I don't know what kind of situation they are in at that point in time. So obviously those gaps remain. But what I've observed, that if I'm in a discussion with someone and if I turn on camera, the other person is bound to turn on camera if it is one-on-one meeting. And that significantly increases the interaction level. Then the person knows I am looking at the other side, whatever he or she is doing. That person is looking at me. So both are absolutely attentive, paying complete attention to each other. So obviously, with these changes happening, we are also learning how to manage the situation. Right? But again, coming back to the moot point, which is the pace of change has been significant. Right. Also, if I look at the kind of changes which pandemic has brought about, right? So in 2017, again, McKinsey did similar study, and if you look at now, the bar at the top shows the results which have been given now. So less than 10% of the leaders are talking about leveraging technology from savings perspective. More than 50% are looking at it either as a competitive advantage or turning their complete business around digital technologies. What does it mean? It means that leaders across the globe have understood, whether pandemic or not, digital or technology driven businesses are going to grow. I was listening to one of the speakers yesterday. What that gentleman was talking about is, in the erstwhile top companies, they were mostly manufacturing companies. I think there was only one services company, and that services company actually grew multifold. And now the Forbes top 10 are absolutely different what they used to be earlier. Like, why? Because they have evolved over a period of time. And why I'm talking about evolution so much? I'm talking about evolution so much because the pace at which things are changing, workforce and leaders, coming again to the same point, they have to change. I'll take a pause here, and obviously don't want it to be a monologue. So whatever your thoughts, questions are, please bring them on. Let's talk about them.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, may I ask a question?
Go ahead, Tushar.
Yeah. Sir, what are the skill sets you look for if you want to hire a management consultant?
Please repeat your question.
What are the skill sets you look for if you want to hire a management consultant?
Okay, that's a very good question, because what has happened, and that's one of the point to which I'll have once we move forward. But let me take it up now as you've asked this question. So there was a time when when you are looking for a job, you would probably say, I am a CA or I'm an MBA in finance. That is probably good enough to get you a good job. On technology side, people will say, I understand a specific technology, I'm a coder. You might end up getting a job, a good job. But now what is happening, and I'm talking to you, let me give you an example of a very specific job description that we are trying to hire today. And we had a significant debate around it, with the point that, are we talking about single JD or it's a mix and match of multiple JDs together, job descriptions. So the job description reads like this: should have good experience of investment banking and investment banking products, should be a CA, should have accounting experience, should have good coding experience from database perspective, PLSQL, right? And person should have good communication skills, BA, and a couple of other things. Now, if I look at this, what are we talking about? We are talking about someone who has banking experience, that too specifically investment banking experience. Then we are looking at an accountant. And then we are looking at someone who can actually do coding. Now, if you ask me, and I go back to the time when we were looking for jobs, we were probably looking at these three as absolutely different JDs or job descriptions. Today, they have all come together, which means what is happening, as I'm talking about technology so much, a lot of work which is done by a single skill set, and it is logical or logic driven, is getting completely automated. As a result, industry is looking for those kind of people who can easily transition between different skill sets, can do things which machines can't do. And for that, you have to be absolutely flexible. You have to be very dynamic. And that is where I believe it is a very good time when you are in the institution, given the kind of resources available to you. You should try to broaden the horizon rather than limiting yourself only to MBA and thinking, all right, I've done my MBA, my life is sorted, I'll get a good job. You might end up getting a good job and you might remain relevant for some time, but if you stop learning, that relevance would be taken away very soon. If you see the pace at which things have changed in the last 9 months, a lot of people have moved out, or in terms of jobs, they've ended losing up jobs. One, obviously, because of the pressure in the economy. Second, also because companies realized that we don't really need those kind of people. I hope, Tushar, that helps. I know it's pretty long.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Any other question?
Sir, from the point of what you said, like you're saying that you need to have competitiveness in IT sector, you need to have in finance sector. So you are saying that we are going towards some kind of a convergence where all disciplines like finance, marketing, and operations are future managers. They need to be adept at all things to be successful. Would that be a conclusion? Something you would say, sir, from this slide?
Yes. Yes. Not really from this slide. It is just a response to what Tushar was asking. But Hari, you called it out absolutely right. This is convergence of all the skills which are required to be successful. Because imagine if you are just a CA, what would a CA do? CA's job is to look at debit credit, and pardon if anyone is a CA, and I'm trying to simplify the job to a large extent. But CA's job is absolutely logic driven. Very limited thought to be given in terms of what is to be done, right? Otherwise, it's logic driven. Now, if something is logic driven, machines are picking up those things very quickly. Keeping that in mind, why would we need only a CA in future? Why would I not need people who can actually apply that learning only to the exceptions which are thrown, right? I remember a few days back, we were discussing about a specific topic with Microsoft. And we had two different terms in the discussion from our side. We said technology and innovation. And one person said, these two are same things. How are they different? Any thoughts?
I believe innovation is adding something to the technology that we are currently using right now and bringing it to one notch above. That is what we call as innovation.
Okay. All right. I think someone else was also trying to say something.
So, innovation is using the technology for something fruitful. That's the basic difference, I think.
Right. Right. So my view is, and obviously what you said is also correct, both of you. Now, technology is technology and can only do limited tasks for which it is created. But innovation is applying that technology to the business problem and really solve for it. Now, technology will do whatever it can on the basis of the inputs that you provide, the kind of configuration you have done, and you'll get certain output. But how one technology can be weaved in together with multiple other technologies to create a complete solution is actually an innovation. Now, as we were talking about jobs, now at one point in time, for the purpose of capturing data entry jobs were in large numbers available in the market. But today, if you see data entry jobs, do they really exist today? Not really. Why? Because it is combination of different technologies which have come together. For example, if I look at intelligent OCR can read the document, and then you on top of it you have robotics, which takes that information and feeds into the system. Now, from technology perspective, these two are different solutions. Now, unless you really bring the knowledge of the business problem that you have to solve for and combine these different technologies together, you would not be able to innovate. And that's where technology and innovation are two different things. Right? Also, if you look at call center agents, the roles, or let's say the jobs related to call center agents, are also drastically coming down. Why? Because these days you have chatbots available. A large volume of calls which are made to any of your service provider, whether it is telecom or any other service provider, a large chunk of them is taken up by chatbots. right? Chatbots are also evolving over a period of time. Now, because of that, the number of calls which actually land up with a call center agent has drastically come down. So the number of call center jobs have also reduced. Now, what is a chatbot? Is chatbot a single technology? No. It is a combination of multiple technologies brought together to solve a specific problem. That's what is innovation. Okay. Any further questions before we move on? Okay, I'll take that as a no. All right. Now, given the current situation where a lot of jobs are being taken up by machines, what humans are going to do in future? So, McKinsey's one of the research which they did, as you read on the screen, over 800 occupations spread across 46 countries. What they've estimated is that about 400 million, between 400 million and 800 million jobs would be lost due to automation by 2030, which means in the next 10 years. These many jobs would be lost. Now, from that perspective, if you are preparing for any of those jobs, or if either of us is a part of that kind of a job profile, we may become absolutely irrelevant in the industry, right? And that is where, as a part of this workforce, we have to evolve and learn faster. Why? Because machines are becoming intelligent much faster. I have to keep the pace with them. I have to become smarter. It will not really take 30 years for a machine to beat Gary Kasparov today. Probably a machine will beat me in a year's time if I will not keep the pace of learning. Making sense?
So it means
Yes, sir.
that we will be rendered in a much upskill also.
Absolutely. And that is where reskilling and continuous learning is the most important thing. And that's where I think the role of a leader comes into picture. That how would I keep my workforce relevant? And for that, I need to keep motivating them to learn. Now, if I find a person in my organization who's not willing to learn, I can't just sit and say it's his loss. It's my loss as well. Because after some time, I'll not be carrying an asset with me. I'll be carrying a liability with me. And hence I need to ensure as a leader that I keep everyone motivated towards learning new things, towards staying relevant in the industry. Right? Now, if you look at the way artificial intelligence, the way machine learning is coming up with the capacity to compute, the speed at which the computation is done, it's enabling the organizations across the industry to carry out things which earlier were just not possible. Look at the accuracy of weather prediction these days. And if you go back 10, 15 years back, the weather prediction was, I would never rely on them. But today, if you see, weather prediction is very, very accurate. I don't know how it works in India. At times, we don't really get very accurate predictions. But whenever I go out to a country where snowfall is very, very prevalent and very frequent, in that case, when I open the weather app in the morning to see what kind of weather it is going to be, it actually works out very accurately. They are in a position to tell you within 1 hour range what time it's going to rain, what time the sunshine will actually come after the rain. It has become very accurate. Why? Because the machines are in a position to do that kind of calculation very, very fast. Okay. Any more thoughts on this before I move?
So if machines can do all the menial and all the what do you call technical jobs, then humans will only be doing the higher level jobs. So only there will be need for those who are at the highest on the value chain, right? I mean, in the future, like there will not be any need for those below the persons also in the value chain, something like that.
So I would say the roles are going to change significantly. Right? Someone who's doing some sort of work today may not be required tomorrow. So, for example, I'm not sure if you have ever gone to bank to withdraw cash, or if you ever got a chance to stand in line to withdraw cash, except if you're in Roorkee and if you have to, only a couple of ATMs, then you'll probably go to SBI or PNB to the branch to withdraw cash. But in last at least 10, 15 years, I don't remember visiting a branch for withdrawing cash. That means the job of a teller has come down significantly. The roles have come down significantly. But what has happened? Teller is replaced by an ATM machine, which are available in market in tons of numbers, because of which it's very easy for me to visit an ATM and withdraw cash. But what has happened? Along with that, to ensure that those ATMs are working properly, there is an ecosystem which was to be created. Someone has to take care of the machine. Someone would have to ensure that there is cash available in the machine. If the cash is stuck, then someone would have to come and ensure that the machine starts working properly. If the bin is full, someone would have to come and clear it. Right? Number of things, because of which the kind of jobs which are required or the kind of skill set which is required has changed. Now you don't need people who can actually count money faster. You need people who can take care of different things, because money is now, or the counting of money is taken care by the machine. You don't have to sit at the back of that desk and ensure or validate the identity of the person. That is one of the tasks of teller. That identification or validation of identity again is done by the machine. So that kind of skill set is taken away, but it's different kind of skill set which has come. But yes, to stay relevant, as you said, you have to be up in the value chain. And that's where reskilling, as you use that word, is very important. You keep identifying what will keep on pushing you towards the higher side of the value chain, right? Survival of the fittest. So if you remain just few inches away, as before we started this session, we were talking about a deer thinking something and a lion thinking of something different. It's the same thing. It's a chase. You are running and technology is just behind you, few steps away. And that is where you need to think how we can collaborate between man and machine rather than making it a man versus machine thing. And with that, let me move to the next one. So if you see, we are talking about on one side job losses because of automation, because of digital. But as I just called out, it is not man versus machine. It is man with machine. So we have to learn that how can we complement each other, right? So, and this is to one of the questions which you ask. As I said, it is something which I'm addressing later. If you see what it's saying, leaders are looking to hire much broader range of skills than in the past, right? Which means that the challenge is not about the kind of skills you have, but it is about what kind of diversity you have in terms of skills. Can you look at accounting and can you look at technology simultaneously, so that you can actually think of and deliver right solutions, right? And why I'm talking about all of these things, if any of you is thinking it is not relevant from the topic perspective, its relevance is given the fact we are talking about workforce, which is nothing but human capital. With this whole ecosystem around workforce changing, the way you manage human capital also has to change, right? And when the whole workforce is changing, then leaders would have to change in the same way. Any thoughts before we move on?
Don't you think that various technology, giving the example of the teller, as we have installed various CDM machines. So there are various other environmental sectors that cannot be controlled, and for that we need many other kinds of jobs. And and I somehow think that in India, due to such a large chunk of population being illiterate, these things cannot be easily, adapted and all this.
No, Sachin, I'm not very clear with the question. Sorry, if you can repeat.
But like you were giving the example of the CDM machine. So various times it happens that due to the notes we are going to deposit being somehow soiled, or that the machine accept the notes but did not get credited to it, get somewhere gets stuck in the machine. So there are various environmental factors that we at this point cannot control, but we need to control to make it some make this process some uh, uh, frictionless or some smooth.
Right. No, so you're absolutely right. Because what happens is when you come up with a technology or when you come up with an innovation, it is not perfect in day one or on day one. It takes time for machines to become perfect over a period of time. Right. So as a result, if I see the number of instances when a machine would fail or an ATM machine would not be working are nowadays very far and few. There was a significant jump in these instances when the demonetization happened because those machines had to be reconfigured at that point in time. So there was a sudden jump in number of cases where the machine was not working because of two factors. One, obviously, there was paucity of cash given new currency notes came into effect. On the other side, given the reconfiguration of the machines. But other than that, if you see, nowadays the instances where the machine or the ATM machine is not working properly has come down significantly. So every technology or innovation takes time to evolve and also become affordable. Right? If you go back 20 years or maybe 25 years back, were mobile phones so affordable? Forget about a rickshaw puller. A person with a decent job would not ever think of buying a cell phone 25 years back if I would. Right? Today, if you see the way the technology has become affordable and it has become so efficient, so small in terms of size and cost, that anyone in this world today can afford a mobile phone, right? And probably you would not have to take it for repair even once.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So if I look at the way some of the relationships are working, so because I also wanted to talk about the symbiotic relationship, how man and machine will work together. So if you look at it from that perspective, what has happened? Technology has made life much simpler, taken away a lot of hardworking tasks away from human being. Now, if I look at from data analysis perspective, because that's one thing which we were talking in the previous session. So there is a lot of work which goes into extracting data, playing with the data, or identifying what kind of data is needed, right? And once all of that analysis is done after extracting data, number crunching, and various other things, that's when the analysis part comes. Now, today, if I see applying that, the typical 80-20 principle, 80% of effort of an analytics guy or someone who's involved in analysis goes into actually extracting data, playing with the numbers from or crunching the numbers from analysis perspective, so that once the numbers are out, you have those good looking graphs with you, then you start leveraging them for decision making perspective, which only is about 20% of your time. And that's where I think if I look at the way technology is evolving over a period of time, I would not have to spend that much of time. So as a result, what will happen? The 80% of my time, which is unproductive, it is not giving me any value add. And if I talk in Lean Six Sigma terms, it's called non-value add, that 80% of time. Now, that time will actually become productive because the way machines are working, doing an analysis which takes a lot of time, a lot of calculation infrastructure or technology infrastructure today, tomorrow it may not really need that kind of space or speed. So as a result, doing an analysis just at the end of the month, I might do it on a daily basis or on real-time basis. But that 80% of effort which goes into extracting data will not be required from a human being because machine will do it. And also, I would be able to refer to a bigger data set. Today, I might be looking at 2-year data because otherwise calculating things in Excel or in some of the tools might become too tedious or too time consuming. But with the speed at which technology is improving and becoming efficient, I might be able to leverage 20 years data, which will make my analysis far better. But another point which comes into picture is, can I drive a car looking into rear view mirror, which means looking at data which is 20-year-old? Will it really help me drive my business in future? And that's where the predictive analytics comes into picture, which takes care of various other things. Right now, as a human being, it might be difficult for me to bring all those elements, but with the help of technology, I'll be able to analyze those things because technology will assist me in doing all those things. And that's where it's the relationship or a symbiotic relationship between man and machine, which will make man successful, and coexistence of man and machine. Any thoughts?
So can machines ever overtake man, sir? Is there any possibility of one day machines really controlling mankind? I know it's a little abstract question, but just wondered.
Machine controlling?
Controlling, say, a man in the sense machine can take the power from humans. Is there any possibility of such things happening if machines are becoming powerful, more and more powerful day by day?
So if deer will not run faster than the lion will eventually catch hold of the deer and kill it. So if humans don't evolve faster than machines, then that day might come.
Sir, something which I think I want to ask, sir. I was reading that novel 1984, and I also ran over on internet about China and it's the social credit system which they have, established. Do you think like something like that kind of a doomsday or that kind of a scenario is applicable in the world? Because even China case, that is a communist country, they can enforce laws, but even in democracies we are seeing that the people are giving away the liberty sometimes. You think that is the part where we have reached, that yes, people will give away some liberty and freedoms for security in this state?
So I'm assuming it's again in the context of the same question which was asked earlier. Now, if I look at autonomous machines and if I talk about Internet of Things, so what is happening? The machine or technology has all the data which belongs to you. They understand you far better than anyone else. Now, if you give them liberty to do things also on their own, then things might start changing. Now, doomsday might be a slightly, far-fetched idea, and I'm not in any position to say whether it will happen or it will not happen. But some of the things. Now, for example, we are talking about Internet of Things where you have sensors in your refrigerator, and the machine can sense the speed at which you're consuming products and reorder on its own. Keeping that in mind, it can order anything at any point in time and get it shipped anywhere. If you leave that kind of liberty to the machine. Now imagine someone orders something which is illegal on your behalf, sends it to someone else, who will be responsible for it? You'll be responsible for it, right? Now we all use smartphones where our calendars are already in the machine. From that perspective, my machine knows what I am doing at what time. The idea is to use it for my benefit. Now, Maruti is working on a technology where they are embedding, obviously leveraging technology. The machine will look at your calendar, the sensors will sense the service requirement of your car, and basis the availability of the car when it is not in use, the person will come and pick up your car without you requesting for it because sensors have sensed it requires servicing. Right? Now, this is all for the good purpose. But now imagine it becomes an autonomous car where the car itself will go to the service station for repair. If it is going for repair, it can also do anything else if I don't control technology. Right? So from that perspective, again, doomsday, I don't know how far-fetched that idea is. But yes.
Not doomsday, but like dystopian also. That like 1984 George Orwell was reading a couple of days ago. So that's that's sort of soft copy. Because I'm also like into data analytics and that. So I was just thinking.
Okay.
Sir, I have a doubt, sir.
It is, and that's where, as I said, it is important to have two things. One is obviously keep pace with technology, and second, to be sure what kind of enablement we are doing from technology perspective, right? So those things are very, very important to be looked at. Okay. Now, looking at this, yeah, go ahead, please.
So nowadays, the technology of wearable devices is going in a very fast-paced development, like smart bands, and some countries have already started biochips, implementing biochips and all those things. And Elon Musk's new Neuralink technology is also turning the heads in the market. So in the future, where these machines can extort unbelievable amounts of data, and some even the data that cannot be reached by even like any humane possibility, how will this end up, sir? Aren't like are we doing this too much, or like how will these kind of data influence the humans the development or this one?
Right. So that's where I said, it's not man versus machine or man or machine. It is man and machine coexistence, right? Doing things which you think machine can do better, let it be done by machine. And the things that you do better, which is thinking, you do those things, right? And for you to be in a position to think better, it is important that you have far wider skills than limiting yourself to a specific area. And I think that's where this question comes in, right? What we are all talking about is on one side how to manage technology, on the other side how to manage human capital. From the perspective of an organization, when it comes for a leader would have to manage both. Because if man and machine together are responsible for growth and success, ultimately a leader would have to ensure that both are growing at the right pace, are working collaboratively. Right? It's like two people at the same level competing with each other for growth to get the next promotion. But the leader's job is to ensure, though leader would be able to give promotion to only one person, but still ensure that the two people are collaboratively working despite competition. Same has to be done here. When you have man and machine, both are trying to supersede each other, but a leader's responsibility is to ensure that both work collaboratively for overall success of the organization. Right? And that's where, if you see, the two most important things from human capital management, one is rethinking around skill development, right? Which means there is a significant redesign required in the academic curriculum, the corporate learning, and the workforce has to be extremely adaptive. If you see what I've mentioned here is that a recent IBM study predicted that in the next 3 years, 120 million workforce or workers may need to be retrained or reskilled, which is a large number, because a lot of jobs which are being done by humans today would be taken up by machines. Now, given all of that, there is also a redesign of the construct which is required, the way organizations are recruiting, organizing, and rewarding the people or human workforce, human capital, right? And that's where it relates very clearly to the question which was asked, that what kind of skills a leader is looking at now while hiring, which has become pretty wide, right? And leaders need to ensure that their organization is fit to react quickly to whatever the future may throw at it. And future will throw different things, and which also means when a leader has to ensure that workforce has to be adaptive and it has to be made up of creative people, right? And such setups are not really found in the industry. They have to be created, and that's where the job of a leader comes in, to create that kind of a setup. Okay. Now, what should leaders do? Because we are talking about, a lot of expectation from leaders, but what should a leader do? So from human capital perspective, a leader would have to identify new ways of attracting and motivating and engaging people. And leader needs to ensure that there is a significant human touch when it comes to interacting with humans in the organization who are working alongside with machines. Because machines don't really need emotions. What they need is timely repair. Whereas humans would require a lot of empathy while dealing with them, because it is ultimately humans who are ensuring, at least at this point in time, that those beautiful and brilliant machines are working properly. Now, talking about who's a great leader. So we have understood what is expected of a leader, but how would we define a great leader? So first thing, a leader as per me is not really a CEO of the organization, chairman of the organization, or a founder. Leader is anyone who has few people working along with him or her, and they are trying to succeed together. That person is a leader. On the other side, it need not be a senior in the team. It could be your colleague working at the same level, who is in a position, who brings new ideas, who is in a position to lead from the front or lead by example, rather than just talking about doing things and then moving away. And that's where I think the difference comes in. If you look at the way army works, in army, whatever leader or superior or senior says, people down below follow that. But it does not mean that that senior is sitting in the camp and sends the cavalry to fight. He actually leads from the front. Whereas in politics, if you see, whenever there is a dharna, there is a pradarshan, the leader is less likely to be seen or sitting at a safe place, whereas the workers are going and fighting. And that's the difference, right? So there is leadership by PowerPoint, which you would see, far more in the corporate world. There are very few leaders, and they actually end up becoming successful, who lead from the front, lead by example. Right? And as the title reads, who's a great leader? So if you look at certain specific qualities, technical expertise, high intelligence quotient, and emotional intelligence. Over a period of time, the proportion which is, or the weightage given to these three different areas has changed completely. Earlier, there was no question about emotional intelligence. That factor never existed. But now that has started coming up. Earlier, the question was only about IQ and technical expertise, but that has changed. If you see, emotional intelligence has become almost equal to the sum of technical expertise and emotional intelligence, or emotional quotient. Sorry, intelligent quotient, right? So that is where a leader needs to have that kind of empathy and emotional intelligence to deal with workforce. And talking about leadership in a VUCA world, which is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, given the current kind of situation that we are in. So what kind of things we need? We need creative abrasion. So we need people who are in a position to generate conflicting ideas, innovative ideas, and that's where the role of a leader comes in. A leader should not push or force people to think in a specific way, which is, you think like me or you don't be part of my team. A leader should push people to think in different directions, come up with innovative thoughts, so that collectively the group is far more intelligent than just one thought process. Creative agility, the ability to test and experiment and fail fast. So if something has to go wrong, let it happen now, then 10 days or a month later. In the product development life cycle, if something has to go wrong, let it happen today, rather than once the product is delivered to the customer, right? So, which means you test and experiment in sprints and do it very fast. On the basis of the outcome, you reflect and then take corrective actions. Creative resolution, which means the ability to make decisions that combine the opposing ideas. So unless you know how to work with opposing ideas, different thoughts, in current situation, a leader can't be successful. And that is where the volatility has to be converted into vision, which is nothing but be in a position to see through the clutter. Uncertainty has to be converted into understanding, which is you are in a position as a leader to clearly understand what are the factors resulting into uncertainty. Complexity converted into clarity, and ambiguity into agility, because the more ambiguous things are, you have to be more flexible. Right. Okay, so I'll quickly move to some of the. So I'll leave these facts and figures, and I can send it to you so that you can look at it. I understand I'm a little over time, so I'll leave these things and quickly move to one of the case which I wanted to discuss in terms of the VUCA situation, as I called out. So if you look at airlines industry, is one industry which is significantly and severely impacted, coming to almost to a shutdown. But some of the airlines, Korean airline, Asiana, Ethiopian airlines, they have really acted in a very agile and in a way where they have understood the opportunity and situation. So they have really lived the term that we keep hearing, which is survival of fittest. So what they have done on one side, rest of the airlines, they are struggling to meet their expenses and are completely into red. These three companies completely moved from passenger traffic to cargo. And as a result, they increased their cargo carrying capacity by 95% by making certain changes in their business model and delivered profit in COVID time as well. Right? And that's where the role of a leader comes into picture. Now, just to end, if you read what I'm trying to say is whatever technological innovations are ahead, it is only the people that will make the difference between success and failure. Because technology, at least today, on its own, can't do everything. How you use that technology, how you're going to get benefit out of that technology, that defines whether something is going to be successful or not. And that's where role of a leader comes in, to have a good people strategy for this digital age. Right? And as Albert Einstein said, leader is one who out of the clutter brings simplicity, out of discord, harmony, and out of difficulty and opportunity. Right? And to end on a lighter note, I would say what is idea of leadership. So as Albert Einstein said, Modi ji also said, "Aapda ko avsar mein badalna hai." Right? And what some of the leaders did, Mukesh Ambani, he is one who, despite COVID, has increased the valuation of the company multifold. At this point in time, he is the 6th richest person in the world. So what he did as part of leadership, he identified the opportunity and latched onto it. And then we have Virat Kohli as a leader on the sports field. He also identified lockdown as an opportunity and thought of expanding the family. So I'll end on that lighter note from the idea of leadership. Open to questions.
Sir, I have a question, sir. Sir, in your experience in this field, sir, a leader sometimes faces a particular dilemma that he has a particular workforce, but they are not well versed in the particular technology, the new technology. But at the same time, they can easily outsource that particular work to some other countries where they are ready, where the professionals are readily available. So in the long run, which will be more beneficial, training your workforce for the future or outsourcing immediately to other countries for completing your assignment?
See, it is about leveraging best of the resources available to you. So if you have a senior person in the organization who's probably good at specific things, and there are other supporting skills which are required, then you need to choose whether you want your leader to learn those things as part of growth and survival, or do you think that there is another better way of managing those things, right? So you may outsource today, but imagine a situation now, a lot of work got outsourced to India from cost arbitrage perspective. But over a period of time, there are a lot of other costs which have come and added up. As a result, the cost of delivering from India started going up. And as a result, many countries or many companies started moving to other locations. And that's why Philippines came up, right? On the other side, there are political scenarios when countries are talking about taking the jobs back, either because of government pressure or because of the economy being such. In some cases, government is not pressurizing, but they're giving incentives. If you bring back the roles, we'll give you certain tax benefits. So companies are doing that cost benefit analysis and thinking of bringing the jobs back. Now, you might bring the job back in the name of getting the tax benefit, but later on you would think, how can I eliminate those jobs which are not adding a lot of value? Now, either I do it by outsourcing to someone in the same country or nearshore because of government regulation or incentives, or I enable my existing workforce.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any more questions?
Sir, I have a question. Hello, sir.
Yeah.
This question is somehow connected to the last question. So now I am a first year MBA student. So as you have told that to get into management consultancy, I need to be very efficient in coding, investment banking. So, as a first student, what should be my approach if I want to get into those kind of role after my completion of second year?
Keep learning. Keep learning. Go beyond what professors are teaching you. Obviously, that helps you build the basis or helps you learn basics of your domain. But other than that, pick up other things. So just to add to that lion and deer story, when lion is running after a group of deers, at that point in time, you need not be the fastest. Even if you are second or third fastest, or faster than the least fast or slowest, you'll still survive. Which means if you are in your campus and looking for placement, you need to ensure that you are better than others in terms of your skills, in terms of your understanding, in terms of your appreciation of the business environment. And that reminds me, as Harshit was talking about our first class. So I still remember our first class was taken by Rahman sir. And what he said at that point in time, जो सबसे मुश्किल काम था वो तुम लोगों ने कर लिया, एंट्रेंस क्लियर कर लिया तुमने, 2 साल बाद डिग्री भी मिल जाएगी, फेल नहीं होता कोई यहाँ पे. What you need to do is you need to ensure that you keep your eyes, ears and mind open, क्योंकि किताबों में जो है वो हम पढ़ा देंगे. And he actually lived with those words. He always allowed us to carry books in the examination, which were never useful.
Thank you so much, sir. I think you have answered his question. And unfortunately, sir, because of the time constraint, we can't take any more questions.
All right.
So thank you, sir, for such an insightful session on the upcoming technological revolution and how, as budget managers, we also would have to keep on learning new skills. And
I just hope you found it useful.
What, sir?
I'm saying I just hope that you found it useful.
Yes, sir. Indeed, sir. And so, due to unprecedented times, we need to reskill and use technology. And your insights were really helpful. And the important takeaways like adaptations and evolution is what we should look for instead of change. And many more will be with us for days to come. Thank you, sir, for giving us your time for the session. And so today is also an International Girl Child Day. And I'm delighted to tell you on this occasion of Avenir, we have taken an initiative, Breaking Darkness. Avenir means future in French. And the best way to add meaning to the event would be to help shape the future and help someone grow. There's no better helping hand for growth than education. Each year, starting from this year, DOMS would be donating a sum to Hope Foundation education of underprivileged girl child in honor of the guest speakers like you gracing the conclave. Thank you so much for this insightful session once again.
I have a